We begin another season. I should like great gossip.
The social season might look a little different this.
No.
When it comes to period dramas, I admit that they are guilty pleasures. They are almost always centered on a certain character's love story, or show some kind of political intrigue dotted with a few sensual scenes here and there. Despite their beautiful sets, costumes, and perfect dialogues, they do end up feeling quite one-dimensional. I am sure you were of the same opinion too, until you came across Bridgerton. Setting aside the diverse casting choice, which was revolutionary in itself, this show has reimagined historical romance. In doing so, it strayed quite far from the source material as well as actual history, and maybe that is exactly what made all the difference. But if you ask me, there is also a lesser talked about aspect that has made the series into the sensation it is today. The existence of an all-knowing narrator is nothing new, take Gossip Girl for instance, but Lady Whistledown's character in Bridgerton has arguably made the show far more entertaining than it would have been without her. Her writings feel compelling enough to not just the people of the ton, but to us as well, as we scramble to find out the latest gossip and the identity of the mysterious columnist herself. Now that the second one is no longer a secret, it begs the question, what will happen to Lady Whistledown in the upcoming season of Bridgerton?
To the esteemed Lady Whistledown, I know your secret.
Recapping Lady Whistledown's reveal at the end of Season 3. The 3 seasons of Bridgerton so far have explored the love stories of 3 Bridgerton siblings. The last season, which focused on Colin Bridgerton and Penelope Featherington, resolved a number of doubts within the context of the series. Some of you might even say that the big reveal of Lady Whistledown's identity was just as exciting as watching Colin and Pen figure out the relationship. As viewers, we were privy to the secret for quite a while, so it was only a matter of time before it would be known to the other characters in the show. Penelope Featherington had spent years writing behind the facade of Lady Whistledown, but her entanglement with Colin made Eloise Bridgerton give her an ultimatum about coming clean to him. While she tried to confess on several occasions, Cressida Cowper's declaration of herself as the columnist derailed her plans. Finally, Pen was discovered by none other than Colin himself at the publisher's office, straining their just blossoming relationship. With the Queen becoming desperate to uncover Whistledown's identity, Pen found herself in a greater predicament. Finally, she wrote to the Queen herself, revealing who she was, and at the ball hosted by her sisters, was outed publicly by the royal. However, true to her nature of quiet defiance, she explained her side of the story and her reason for choosing anonymity. She acknowledged that she had been careless with the power that came from her alias and vowed to be more responsible with her columns. While Queen Charlotte appeared to have been satisfied with her response, after she left the party, it was not certain whether the others in attendance had accepted the truth. Thankfully, Pen's sister Philippa took the chance to release a cage full of butterflies in the room, changing the mood instantly. Later, Penelope is seen writing again, but signs her name instead of Lady Whistledown, as the narrator's voice changes from Julie Andrews to Nicola Coughlin's.
You are Lady Whistledown.
How differently was this reveal portrayed in the original book? Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, the novel which focuses on Penelope and Colin's story, had a different take on exposing the identity of Lady Whistledown. There, Colin is actually the first to know about her secret much before their engagement. This happens when he visits her to talk about his complicated feelings for her, and sees her enter an unmarked carriage. He follows her to a shady part of town and finally confronts her. During their ride back home, they argue about her hiding the secret before they kiss, and Colin proposes. So he is aware of her identity before he asks for her hand. In the show, he is the third person to know about it, following Madame Delacroix and Eloise. I think this deviation added to the overall intrigue because the strain on Eloise's friendship with Penelope and the former's subsequent ultimatum became an obstacle to Colin and Pen's relationship. Not only does it add more pressure on Pen to come clean, but it also justifies Colin's anger because 2 people he loves had kept this secret from him. Considering how he was trying to prove himself to Pen, his reason for feeling betrayed makes sense. In the book, it is actually Lady Danbury who announces a reward of £1,000 to anyone who uncovers Whistledown's identity. This is also changed in the show, where the Queen herself does the same, except that the reward is increased to £5,000. Cressida Cowper blackmails Penelope in both cases, but the show gives us a more humane perspective on her own situation. While she was portrayed as a rival, Cressida was simply a lonely woman trying to escape an arranged marriage to a much older man. It tones down the scorn on her because we finally see her end of things, and it makes sense why she wanted to escape the confines of high society with the reward money. In the show, Colin went to Cressida in person to get her to take back her terms, but failed. However, in the books, he is successful, and taking charge of the matter, he reveals Penelope's alter ego at a ball. It ends with everyone applauding her. Now, I like a man showing up for his wife, but don't you think the book version kind of makes the reveal all about Colin himself? He becomes the one to save Pen from the dilemma, which frankly sounds a little weird considering how she had proved time and again just how capable she was. So when it was changed in the show, I was really quite relieved. Penelope got a more prominent role in resolving the crisis, connecting with her mother and repairing her friendship with Eloise. She took action on her terms, in true Whistledown fashion. Just as she says in the show, she does not need Colin to save her, only to love her and be by her side. It sets a refreshing precedent where she gets to be the hero of her own story, not only by bagging her man, but also by fixing her own problems. Sure, we had seen both Daphne Bridgerton and Kate Sharma take charge of their own affairs in varying capacities in the previous seasons, but to me, Penelope's arc felt more satisfying. So, what does Lady Whistledown's future look like? Will she be able to continue writing freely in Season 4? Since we were on the topic of book versus show differences, this might be a good time to point out that Colin and Penelope's story actually happens after Benedict and Sophie's story in the novel. The latter happens in the book An Offer from a Gentleman, which is sequentially the third in the Bridgerton series, following which readers get to learn about Colin and Pen in Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, the fourth book. In the show, however, these were flipped. Moreover, with Penelope's identity being revealed in the books, she gives up being a columnist and is not featured in any of the subsequent novels like To Sir Philip with Love, centered on Eloise, When He Was Wicked, which focuses on Francesca, It's in His Kiss, which is Hyacinth's story, and On the Way to the Wedding, which focuses on the final Bridgerton, Gregory's story. She only appears in the epilogue book, Happily Ever After. Naturally, this means that Lady Whistledown exits permanently. However, we have already seen Penelope continuing her letters under her own name, so I was pretty sure she would feature in Season 4. Now that the trailer has confirmed the same, I cannot help but wonder how she will continue writing her column and maintain the same kind of flair as we have seen in the previous season. Yes, the source material also has her play a part in the events that happen while Benedict and Sophie are getting together, but her identity at that time is still a mystery according to the novel's timeline. So, how will the showrunners manage to incorporate that in a context where the world now knows her? Being Lady Whistledown was easy when she was a wallflower who was able to pick up gossip from attending events where people hardly ever noticed her. But that has changed. Penelope is now a Bridgerton, and people are aware that she was the one writing about them all along. Naturally, gathering information will not be easy anymore, considering that people will be wary of talking openly around her, lest they end up as fodder for her next issue. In the trailer, we have seen the Queen excitedly discussing with Penelope about her future column. In fact, it opens with Charlotte saying that she expects to read great gossip, while Penelope tries to pacify her, saying that the social scene will be different. This is because she herself understands that she can no longer hide behind her alias and continue with the same style of writing as before. However, the Queen does not like this at all and asks her to begin the proper way. When Penelope goes back to using her classic "Dearest Gentle Reader" opener, Charlotte almost squeals in anticipation. From what I can make of this interaction, two things are clear. First, Queen Charlotte is going to exert her authority on Penelope, which isn't something the latter can just disregard. After all, she cannot ignore the Queen's demand. For a writer, especially someone as willful as Penelope, it will not be easy to adhere to this kind of oversight. She has always spoken her mind, using her anonymity to voice her concerns when she did not feel confident in actually doing it as herself. She has also taken digs at the Queen on several occasions, which was one reason why Charlotte was so fascinated by Whistledown and wanted to track the person behind that name. And maybe that has been swept under the rug after Penelope came forward, but can we really say that Charlotte will be just as forgiving if she is referenced in a negative light again? Controlling Penelope's quill is something the Queen definitely will try. Not just because she can do it, but also because the reputation Whistledown has created for herself made her a very credible method of influencing public opinion. What kind of ruler would not want to harness that? All of this spells trouble for Penelope, as she will try to balance her creative nature while keeping in mind that she cannot displease Charlotte. With everyone knowing who she is, she will have to be a lot more careful with her words because she is in a position to make many more enemies beyond just the Queen. This could also raise possible disputes between her and Colin, as anything she subscribes to now will be considered as the opinion of all the Bridgerton. As I mentioned earlier, Pen is unlikely to be able to find gossip in the usual places, so she will have to work hard to keep up with the Queen's demand for good gossip. One theory is that her source will shift from high society itself to the servants and maids in the employment of the ton, who are naturally privy to the deepest secret. I feel this is going to be the most likely case, especially considering that Sophie, who is set to be Benedict Bridgerton's love interest, works as a maid. The show has made a mark in the sphere of period dramas by its radical casting choices, but let's face it, so far, all the events have always centered on a certain class of people. I have high expectations for the 4th season because, other than the entertainment aspect, I am quite looking forward to how the class discourse will be adapted. Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, handled the issues of surrounding race and color in a very graceful manner, giving us some much-needed context on the diversity we see in Bridgerton. Sophie's entry in the story from the perspective of a lower social class will need to be handled with the same kind of grace. I am hoping that Penelope's writing also touches on this aspect. How can she help Benedict's love story? There really is not much I can divulge here without spoiling the events of An Offer from a Gentleman, and by extension, the upcoming season. From what we have seen in the trailer, Sophie is not on the same level as the rest of the people we have seen so far. Working as a maid, she dreams about attending the balls that are held by members of high society. It seems quite audacious for a maid to want something like that, but this book is indeed very Cinderella-esque. Sophie attends a ball as well, dressed in a way that does not suggest in the slightest what her true station is. This is where our resident playboy Bridgerton finds her and gets obsessed when she runs away without explanation, after having danced with him. Benedict's efforts to find out his mystery dance partner will be an important part of the season. And who better than his sister-in-law to help him locate this woman? Much like the Ton, Benedict is now aware of Pen's ability to gather gossip and bear secrets that families desperately try to cling to. I think she is going to play an important role in not just helping him find Sophie, but will also use her writing to try and resolve broader issues such as class difference. It is no shocker that the Bridgerton family will be in a bad kind of spotlight if Benedict decides to marry Sophie. So maybe Penelope can use her compelling wordsmanship to influence public opinion about the same.
The impossible seems possible. It is all very well to dream.
What are fans expecting to see from Penelope in Season 4? Fans are most excited to see how Penelope manages to adhere to Queen Charlotte's demands without losing her unique flair. It does seem pretty reminiscent of the entire idea of state-imposed restrictions on free speech, even if this is in a far lighter context. While Charlotte is hardly a despot, the very fact that the trailer for Season 4 opened with her influencing the tone of Penelope's next issue sets the stage for some kind of tussle between them. What I am also quite eager to know is if Julie Andrews' iconic narration will be replaced completely by Nicola Coughlin's voiceover, considering how there is no Lady Whistledown anymore. There has been no confirmation of the same, and Jess Brownell has simply reiterated that Julie Andrews is an integral part of the story. The end of season 4 will also determine if Penelope will feature in the subsequent season, considering how the source material does not mention her again until the epilogue. Do you think the showrunners will feature her even then, considering how they have strayed from the novels anyway? Let us know your theories about her role in the upcoming season in the comments below.